Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. And today we're going to explore... This is a bit of a junk mail challenge because this came through and I'm looking to do something with that because it's got quite a nice weight to it and I'm wanting to make some tags, and I think I could probably get 3 tags out of this card that's just come through the door. Like some lovely piece of free cardstock, and these are slightly damaged and a bit tatty, and so I think if I maybe try and stick those down, then I will have the basis of a good background. And the nice bit about copy paper when you've dyed it is it has got a thickness to it, so you cannot see the marketing coming through. Use up what we've got. So I can feel it's going to get a bit sticky. Get with glue. So we're just going to want scissors with glue for this. So if anyone's got, I would say that's A5. I've got some cards to come through the post this morning. It's only going to go in the recycle bin. Let's decorate it with our scrap pieces of paper that we've got. It could just be plain white paper. You might want to put some ink on it. So we're just going to go around the edges with a glue stick. Any glue stick, doesn't matter. School glue, household glue. Nothing special, nothing fancy. We're just sticking paper to paper. I'm just gonna, what I'm doing also is, I don't want to match it up exactly. I want it to overlap ever so slightly. So I cut round. And then I get a better seal that way rather than guessing it. It's less, you can obviously measure it up, but it just seems to stick better. So we're going to do this here, tear that off. A tearing ruler. Now if you've got a metal ruler you can use the straight side. I'm using this ruler with a deckled edge, and I'll leave the link to where I got that below. It comes from America and they're absolutely brilliant. We won't worry that that's a bit scruffy, that's part of it. Is that stuck? No. So we just go down that edge, sticking it down, and cut it to where it needs to be along the edge. And one of them will probably have that seam there, which will use in the design to create interest. So I'm throwing away the little tinies. So far so good. So we want to do the other side as well, and we'll go round. Ooh. This is just Pritt stick that I'm using, which is basically made of potato starch. And the packaging is all recyclable, so there's no harmful ingredients here. Very popular here in the UK as a children's school glue. It's our #1 leading glue, but I don't love it because it does that. Leaves chunky globules of glue, and unless you sort of now smoosh that out, you're going to end up with a lumpy bumpy. Just check it hasn't done it anywhere else. Ugh, sticky. Lumpy bumpy thing. So what should we have this way? Or maybe I'd like for a tag, that will give me writing space, wouldn't it? So let's put that down. Not straight. But who wants straight? We all like a little bit of wonky in design. That makes it all the more appealing, in my opinion. The wonkier the better. Too many rules in life. Let's not make them here. In fact, if you would like to stick it on wonky, that's what's required. And we just snip this around. Okay, so keep the scraps for another project, even the little tiddlers. Oh, okay. Now get the ruler back. So we've needed a ruler, scissors and glue so far, a piece of junk mail and some spare scraps of paper. I'm measuring this at 8 1/4 or 21, I think that's 21 centimetres. So I'll do the 21, that's that divides into 7 by 3, so 7, 14, 21. So what we'll do is, hang on, let's get a ruler with actually can work with, rather than the wibbly wobbly one. And what I'm just going to do is mark it off here where I need to cut, just using a pen. A pencil would be better, but they seem to have disappeared, so we'll just let's do it right on the edge, and then if I make a muck of it I can always trim that off. So we're going 7, 14, 21. We'll do the same on the other side. So whatever the size paper it is, just divide it by 3. So 21 divided by 3 goes into 7, 14, 21, like that. And then I shall just join the dots up, and then we hopefully know we're straight. That doesn't feel straight. Let's just double check. That's not straight. Where is it? Oh yeah, that's right. What's the saying? Check. Measure twice. Cut once. So this is my second measuring. I would say it's actually, that wanted to come over a hair. Now we link these up. Dot to dot. That's my cut line. And that's my other cut line. Okay. So because it's quite small, I think we can handle it going through with scissors. So just aim right for the line, cut through, or you could use your trimmer if you've got one, a cutting knife and a board and a ruler. But we'll just keep it simple. We're going with scissors and going for it. Okay, so that's the basis, and they're all different, which is nice. And then on the other side, wibbly wobbly wonky writing space. Papers. So we just need to make these look more like tags, and for that we want to cut the corners off. And there are 2 ways of doing it. You can either take a gift card, plastic one, an old credit card, and cut a corner off. On this one I've cut off a longer side on that side and a shorter side on that side. That is going to be for smaller tags, that's for longer tags, so we can do it that way. So then you've made a template which is made of plastic and it isn't going to bend, and then you would cut there and then return it over and you would cut there. So that's one way of doing it. If you haven't got any plastic to hand to make yourself a very basic template, you can grab another piece of card like this one, which is a business card. Again, that's just something I've got this week, and just have a look, or even use a tag that you have been given, like from a manufacturer, and then you could either use that as your template or make a new one. So we could cut that there. But for these bigger ones, I think they just want a deeper cut to them, and also I've noticed that that's wanted to come off. So let's just work on one at the moment. I'm going to do it this way. And then once you've got your corner off, I mean, you could just snip a corner off and be done with it. But once you've taken the corner off, you can then take that, flip it over, and put that up into the other corner. And then you've got a guideline of where to cut to make sure that they match. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. Or you just guess, but you will then probably end up with an uneven edge. Nothing wrong with that if that's fine with you. And those corners could be used for something. We could use them to maybe make a little picture. If you were sticking a picture in, those could be the corners. Look like an old-fashioned photograph album, and we could put ink on them. So all these little bits are useful. Right, so there we go. Now, if you've got such a thing as a corner punch, you could round your corners here or leave them. Ooh, it will give it a different look, a softer look. Now, it may be that we prefer that as the back, and we want to decorate this as the front, in which case that colour tone lends itself to some old book page. See this side, when you're looking at book page, it's best to try and find a block of text rather than ones where you come to the end of a sentence or a paragraph and then there's a gap. So that's a better block of text. It just visually looks nicer. So I'm wanting to come in at about a third of the way. So let's say about there. I could even wrap it over. Do I like that? No, don't think I do. No. And just coming round. Great. Okay. What else have I got lying around the desk? Let's have a look in my scrap. Oh, I had this bit, didn't I? This was from earlier. That just introduces a slightly different colour. That can go on. And what's nice about this is that this has got the torn edge, whereas that had a straight edge, it had a cut edge, and it's wonky as well. So this is forgiving because it's a torn edge, and therefore adds interest, more interest than having the cut edge. I've also got a tear there, but again, that adds interest. So we're not worrying about it. Okay, so does anybody else do this? Does anybody else keep all their scraps and just cannot bear to let go of them? So this is a really great way to use up spare paper and, you know, transform something that was just going to go straight to the garbage, wasn't it, really? It was just going to go in the recycle bin. I'm treating this as the writing space on the back, so this is now the front. I've got from a pattern, that's the word. You know, look at that, tatty and scrappy, but we can see value on it, can't we, girls? Because it's got the old-fashioned lines from a fabric pattern and the torn edge. And there's something about this paper, it's translucent, it also has a bit of a sheen to it. Yeah. Peely up peas. Yeah, all right. So there we go, that's interesting now. I've cut through those lines that are going horizontally. I've got a couple of vertical lines going on. Then we've got the text, so it's interesting, instantly more interesting. Plus we've got the old aged spots that have appeared there from coffee granules on the piece of paper. And if we want to get fancy, we could then get out the inks and maybe start scuffing up some of those edges. This is called a blending tool. It comes with a foam applicator, and if you're anything like mine, they disintegrate quite quickly after a lot of use. Now, this one I've used for just black and brown inks, and I'm just using it until it completely falls to pieces. But for a more newer one, I would recommend trying to keep the pads separate so you get a true colour of brown, whereas this is going to be it's not going to be the colour on the tin, if you like, because it will have already had other ink from the black applicator which I used for something yesterday. So that will then be a mixture of the two, making this one extra dark. So this is really just my grunge one for making things more of a scruffed up mess, and this one I will definitely use because I just want to keep the colour true to what it is, which is Tim Holtz Distress ink from Ranger in Walnut Stain. Now the ink pad that I've just put on here is a Tim Holtz ink pad. It's different from the one that I got here. This is a cheapie from a local craft store, as is the handles that I bought. They're not from Ranger, but Tim Holtz has that in his range. But if you are getting the mini ink kits, you can find that these ink applicators fit underneath for storage, and they sit in there and they don't fall out. But if you get cheaper ones from anywhere else, they don't, and they do fall out. So these are the only ones that fit in there perfectly because that is their design. They also clip together, so you could take that away, and that could be your weekend kit if you were going somewhere. You've now got your inks and your dobber, and you're good to go. But yeah, if you buy a pack, they do come, I think you get about 10 to 15 in a pack, so that's really good, because this one I've had on here for months. That's why that's so scruffy. Okay, so now we want to have something along the top. So this is just how I'm constructing this tag. I'm putting on a topper, just a screwed up piece of paper mainly, but what what this does is just strengthens where I'm going to put the hole, gives that little bit more interest. See, I had no idea what colour that was, but it's coming out quite black. This comes in a roll. I got this from AliExpress and it came in a box like this, and it's very inexpensive from AliExpress online, but that was just a spare bit, so a little goes a long way if you're doing scrap pieces like this. Oh, there we go again with the famous globule of glue. Oh! Stick that back on. Come on. Off the page, just enough. Right, so I'm covering all of my 3 stripes. I'll just get that on straight so the flowers sit straight. That's it. And then that sort of wraps round. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, now the other thing I had in here I noticed, which I've been using before, is this piece of paper here, but it's got quite a nice grungy colour to it, so this is becoming a bit more of a grungy tag. And what I'm going to do is a little hole reinforcer circle. I'm going to make my own, wanting for that particular task a 1/2 inch circle punch, 1/2 inch. No. You have to really go for it with the hole punch, I've noticed. You can't just do half measures, you've got to be really... let's do another one. Perhaps try again. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Oh. Okay, so maybe the hole punch is getting old. Sometimes if you find these second-hand, that is the danger. I would always buy new if you can. Oh dear, what a muddle. And cut round. Okay. What a shame it did that. Okay, I'm going to keep one spare, and this is going to go either side. And let's go back in with some brown ink. Just go around the edges. That takes away. It's always going to be a little paler colour where you've torn the paper or created a sharp edge somewhere, so there's always going to have a white edge to it, so we just get rid of that, roll it about, and then just guess where we think the middle is. Very likely to not go in the right spot at all, but roughly speaking, it's about there. And then this is a standard hole punch, just a little one. This is by a company called Deli. Don't know where I got this, just something I picked up. Single hole punch. If you can't get a single hole punch and you've got a double one that you would use for documents, then you can just put it under one side. But in order to see where you're going with it, you can turn it over. So that's the beauty of this. And then we've got to try and just guess where we think the centre is and hope for the best on the other side. But actually, this is my front, so I want to make sure that we're happy with this. And what we definitely need to do is just put a little dot which says where we think the middle is. And probably should have punched those out before we stick them on. That would make absolute sense, wouldn't it? But what about that? Not too shabby. There is a really nice weight to this now. It doesn't feel massively thick. There's still a nice flex to that, but there's also a good weight to it. If that makes any sense, it just feels nice. Feels just the right thickness. So it's got the thickness of 2 pieces of paper and a thin to sturdy piece of card that came through the post. And I didn't have to pay for any of it. Anything peeling up definitely needs to be told who's boss and get stuck back down again. And we're just enjoying the process of putting things together. So I think what would be nice, so we could either do a stamp with ink, but I like that because that fits perfectly and that never happens. So that then sort of links in with there. It gives me a border, gives me a end, covers up some of the wording. So I'm going to go, because that's a handmade piece of paper and it is quite thick, I'm using a thicker glue. This one is Fabri-Tac. It's a bit more expensive. You could use 3-in-1. That's also by the same company, which is Beacon. You want a tacky glue if you haven't got access to any of these, because this is really used for attaching fabric to a project, but because that is a thicker piece of paper, I need something a little bit more robust. So we could leave it there as that's a basic tag done, and call that a day. But for me, I do want to have something more interesting on there, just to add to it. I've got some, this is a tea bag, and I've stamped a mushroom on there, so I could add that. Just a music paper, maybe. That bit there, that's doing nothing, sitting there. Yes, you want to come on, I can tell. And that is a nice colour as well. So we could do something with that. What about more? No. Did you want to jump in there? I don't know. Stick these down there for the time being. So now we're in the realms of collage. And I always find collage looks nicer when it's offset. And how about that? Let's just do it. Make sure you've got the most interesting piece showing. So this is old vintage book paper. No, it isn't. It's music paper, which is from a vintage book where I used to work. Was at a music hall, and they had loads of it and gave some to me. See, now that was bothering me because that wasn't how I had it, was it? So this is quite fragile, so just go around very gently. See, the glue goes through it. That's the whole point of tea bag. It allows substance to seep through, and it's no different when it comes to gluing it on. So we just tap that on like that. It's quite nice if the edges come up, actually. Leave that. And we're just building up the layers here. A skeleton leaf. Oh yes. Always brings something, doesn't it? Maybe over here. And then I still want something there. I made this from a pamphlet that came in the post, and I just covered it with card, pretty card. And then I put some vellum pockets using washi tape, which felt like a great idea at the time, but the washi tape is peeling off, so I needed to add more glue, and that is just a rookie error now. Washi tape loses its stick over time. Just take it from me. No. Now this only works if you've got the exact perfect sticker that needs to be the right length and size. And I like that, but I don't want this coming over too much. And I don't want to lose too much of that flower, but the colour is kind of pleasing, so I would lose that if I cut that, but that's okay because that's rather beautiful. That is a good option. Or something like that. Too fussy. Or how do you want to be? Raspberries. No. Or black and white. Ooh, that's nice as well. And maybe cut that off. That's washi tape. Sticker. But then it's quite a boring tag. I think it might want a pop of colour. I think it wants to be this, doesn't it? Yeah, that's what I want it to be. Oh, hang on, I've just spied this fern. Hold on. Because the fern, oh, also lovely. The fern goes nice with the mushroom. Have I got that around the right way? Yeah. And I wouldn't lose as much. I'm losing my mushroom. Where was the one I quite liked? I think it's that one, isn't it? Just, oh, hang on, something pink. I'm distracted. Oh, that's also nice. Oh, that is also nice. But then I think I need something there. No, you know when you've seen it and you just got to go with that instinct. And that is when your crafting mind takes over. And you just need to listen to it. Yeah, because I didn't actually stick that down, did I, Sue? Let's put a bit of glue there where we can see the sticker is going to go, so that definitely hides it. Just a little bit there. Pop in the skeleton leaf and then sit that down on the top of it. And then I think, just to make sure that I'm not going to be damaging the top all the time, we just put a bit up there. Oh, that is nice, isn't it? Just neaten up these edges. And I think we're going to call that pretty much done. All bar some blending of ink over the top of this. Like this. It's another way of doing it. You start on your paper and come in. So start on the paper and come in, because sometimes the paper just takes a real impression and gives you a hard edged look like it did there. Doesn't matter, because you can just come back round, blend it. Hence why it's called a blending tool. But there we go. The only thing I want there now is some ribbon. Could be some string. Just if you have something that looks pretty. Bit of lace. That works too. Okay, one botanical tag. How nice is that? I'm really pleased. So if you found some value here, do leave a comment below and let me know what you think. What would you have done differently? Do you like the idea of this, using the stickers and the stamps, tea bag, different layers, different textures, all things that would otherwise go in the bin, and then just jazzing it up at the end with something like a sticker or a bit of washi tape? But ultimately, just scraps, just using up what you already have, and not buying new supplies. So check what you have first and see if you can make a tag out of that before you start copying anything that I've put down here with stickers and papers. You know, to have a look, you might have some stamps that you could create some botanical images and then tear the piece of paper so that you haven't got to go out and buy anything. That's really not what I'm wanting to happen here. If you've got music paper, great. If you can't get hold of old vintage music paper, check online, see if you can find some vintage digital of music paper, and then print that out onto some coffee dyed paper. Have a go, but try not to buy new things, and using up the scraps and the things that we've got coming through the door every day is just perfect, isn't it? It's perfect to try and reduce some of the waste that we have and look after the planet and all of those wonderful things. So if you've found this relaxing and interesting, inspiring in any way whatsoever, please do subscribe to the channel and follow my journal, my crafty journey. Like and share the video with friends. Above all else, guys, just slow down and make some time for you. Thank you. Bye-bye.